that's going to be on with us. I told you before, Muhammad Ali told me, man, when you got something going that's special, if you don't have butterflies, then get out of there. Get out of the business, Henry T. But if you have those butterflies, it must be a special day. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm shaking like a leaf. I got butterflies galore. And a famous coach, Jim Ottman, told me, butterflies before the game are good. And I tell you, they all fly away when you make contact with what's going on. And 3, 2, 1, I've got Richard Tripp with us today. Butterflies just left. I feel confident, and I can hardly wait to talk to coach and friend, administrator, athletic director, former great athlete, and right now the athletic director at West Las Vegas High School. And here he is with you and me right now. Good morning, Coach Tripp. How are you, buddy?
Well, I'm going to tell you, Henry, after that introduction, I have butterflies. and I can't get rid of them because I'm in the presence of greatness, my friend. I mean, when Henry T asks you to do something, you don't say no. I'll put it that way. So, Henry, I'm beyond honored, man. I mean, I can't. You and I have talked many times. I'll leave it at that. I'm just beyond honored to be with you today, brother.
And referee and great dad. Oh man, I could go on. But Rich, really, there's a royalty in New Mexico. You and your brother are royalty. Congratulations on all your accomplishments. And I mean it. I could do your resume for you because we've been friends for such a long time. But you love what you do. The personality is on your face right now. The love of just your friends, your family, the work you do. You're with kids every day. What does it feel like to be in your position of accomplishment? We could praise each other all day, but it's a good feeling in you right now, the life that you lead. What's that like?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Henry. Anytime I get the opportunity to speak or speak on behalf of our number one student athletes in New Mexico at West Las Vegas, that brings butterflies to me. But, as an athletic director, win or lose, you're always proud of your athletes. And anytime I get the chance to just say the name West Las Vegas, anytime I get the chance to use the word Dons or Lady Dons, that it's I went to school there. My brothers went to school there. My sisters, unfortunately, didn't get it right. They went to the other side of the river. But anytime you get that opportunity to say West Las Vegas Dons or Lady Dons, it means a lot. It means so much to me.
Well, you look back on your past in that great city in northern New Mexico. I love going to that town. You were there a long time, born and raised, went to the schools there, went to Highlands. Wow. When I go into that town, it's refreshing to me. It's so pretty, clean air, cold weather, warm weather, whatever. It's West Las Vegas. It's Las Vegas, New Mexico.
Right.
The town you grew up in from birth to the present. What's it been like? I envy you.
Well, it is something special up here. And people, I'll say this, I think we get a bum rap sometimes for whatever people want to refer to us as, going back to the days of the 60s and the 70s. But it is a unique town. It's very old. It has a lot of tradition. Growing up here was like, heaven on earth. My brothers and I, we grew up, as we say in the projects. We're not ashamed to say it because we learned so much. We had great friends, learned sports. It's a very special place. I mean, where else in the state of New Mexico or the United States can you say that you actually have a college called the Arm and Hammer United World College, for example? We have two great high schools, a great university, and a great junior college. And the people, I love my people of Las Vegas, man, whether they go to Robertson or West Las Vegas. For me, I want, and I've already said this a million times, this is the place I'm going to die. I am going to die in Las Vegas because this is where I want to go. This is where I want to be. So you're right, Henry. It's pretty special, man. It's pretty unique.
You know, we get somewhere because somebody wanted us to be there. They motivated, they inspired us. Who was the biggest inspiration in your life?
Well, that's easy. That's our mother, and you'll hear myself or my brother Gary or my brother Billy. We talk about it all the time. It's because of her, because of what she, my mom taught by example. She didn't teach with words. She taught by example. She raised 7 kids on her own. Our father left us at a very young age, so she had to tend for seven kids. And so everything we learned, I think we all came out pretty good. Of course, Gary doing what everybody knows him. Everyone forgets the forgotten brother, Billy. We have another brother, but it's her. And we credit her with the people we are today. We credit her with what we know today. Because they always say one thing in education, Henry, and you know this, education starts at home. It doesn't start in the schools, it starts at home. And our mother was the best teacher we ever had. And Gary, I think, one time referred to our mother as his hero. And I think that's pretty simple to say that. And I'm sure, in some ways you can relate. It's our mom, man. It's second to none. Everybody else is a distant second.
We have a similar growing up, and that is, I didn't really know my father. And mom was everything. She was the first coach I had too, because she was athletic. And man, what a dancer and singer. That was her love. But she worked, and sometimes 2 jobs, to take care of my sister and myself. But she had this drive of making sure we got our homework done, that we had great food on the table. She would take the bus from the Northeast Heights of Albuquerque, wake up in the darkness, go in the dark, do her work, come home in the dark, and then make sure that she made dinner for us and made sure that Henry T. was reading his books and getting that homework done. They're amazing. And the way they manage time, but that tough love was always there, but it was good for us. And then that great love.
It was, yeah. It's one of those things. I believe it was the Arizona Cardinals head coach. Well, he's the Tampa Bay head coach now. Kind of said it best about coaching. Coach them hard, love them after. And I think that's the same thing with parenting and like both our mothers. Raising us wasn't easy, especially when you have all boys or whatever. But yeah, it was tough love. But she did, all mothers, and you and I have talked about this. Mothers are the glue. They're the foundation, at least in our eyes. So yeah, you're right. It was tough love, but at the end of the day, there was nothing like a mother's love, man.
Oh man, your background of excelling in the classroom, athletics. I mean, you were on the straight and narrow from the beginning, and your siblings had the same feeling. So when you have all the siblings in the family on the same page, man, you're leaning on Gary and Billy and your sisters, and you don't have a chance to go the wrong way. Could that be accurate?
You're pretty much right. It's reputations that you live up to. And we mentioned our brother Billy because Gary and I always talk about this, saying between the two, among all 3 of us, he was by far the better athlete. And him even took up like a little bit of a big brother father role after everything happened. He served in the military, went to the Gulf, all those things. was in the Guard for 25 years. So when you have a leader like that, an inspiration, you know, he kind of like, he taught us how to play catch. He taught us how to throw the ball type of thing. You know, so yeah, it was, you know, we look at it today, and to this day, 50 years later, people say he's the greatest punter in the history of West Las Vegas. That's tough to live up to. It's tough for me because I had Billy on one side, I had Gary on the other side, you know. But even with Gary, I was 2 years ahead of him, but yet I was always behind him. But you know, you have no choice. You mean you really have no choice in the matter, like you said. Get better. That's all. At the end of the day, you just get better, man.
You know, knowing you guys for a while, you're packed. You're surrounded by friends, loyal friends. They love you. How about friendships? Are they essential? Are they important to you? And you're growing up to the present?
You know, it's funny you say that. We were having a conversation about that during one of our morning coffee sessions at a great restaurant we go to. And it's amazing how we get older. We have basically fewer friends, but you have 1,000 friends because of those that you've inherited over the years. And you're right. Growing up, it was that you know, you just had that bond, if you will. You just had that bond of the Sandlot, for example, or some Bad News Bears type of feeling. Then as you get older, you have these certain friends around you that more relate to your lifestyle, what you're going through now, you know. And I think the friends that we grew up with and met throughout the years have also been inspirations to us, either for the negative or for the good, you know. And we hope we've been good friends to them as well. You know, I'm proud to say, you know, all my friends, I learned something from every single friend, Henry, good or bad. I learned something from every single friend that I carry with me today.
You know, I should add, ladies and gentlemen, that Richard's one of our best sportscasters, one of our finest broadcasters in New Mexico. He's done it all. A longtime employee of ProView Networks. And man, when you hear him on the air, he's in the game and he's just describing the game like Shakespeare would write a script. You see it, you feel it because he's emotional. He was a great player, athlete, because he put his emotions into the game. And you can, when you listen to Richard on the air, you can see the game. You can do this, and the game is right there. Wow. He's
Well,
versatile. He's one of the most versatile people our state knows right now. I love you as a broadcaster, buddy.
well, and man, yeah. I mean, I don't know if people can see, but it's a little bluffy right now. But anyway, but no, wow. I'll tell you what, Henry, coming from you, that's about as high a praise as a person can get. Because I've told you this before. I grew up watching you and listening to you when you were the voice of the Lobos. And we used to watch those games on tape delay at 10:30. And you were part of the reason why we did that. You're a trailblazer. I've told you this many times. You're a trailblazer for a lot of us who went into the field. Because some of us don't forget those that, you know, we always say this, even as the athletic director at West Las Vegas, one of the things you can never forget who came before you, who set the trail for you. And you're one of those guys and broadcasting, especially among the Hispanic population. People look at my name and say, Tripp, how can you be Hispanic? Well, my mother's 100% Hispanic. So we consider ourselves Hispanic. And when we had people like you who were leading the charge back in those days, when you were the voice of the Lobos, I know you went down to New Mexico State. And I always say this to you every time I see you. Nobody said Del Norte, Colorado better than Henry T, man. All I got to do is say thank you for being that trailblazer for us, people like me who are in the business today. You know, my father-in-law, who was a sportscaster in Santa Fe for 20 some odd years, Al Garcia, you know, and those are the people. You're the reason why I think we do what we do today, bro. So a thumbs up to you.
Thank you. Well, I love my work, and I'll never retire from the work that I love. And in fact, I shared with you a moment ago, and I'll share it with you, ladies and gentlemen. Henry T is making a comeback, and I need your support. I took care of mom for several years here recently, put my career on the shelf. But deep down inside, I talk to a guy like you, I get re-inspired, Rich. I want to do it again because this interview, man, it's sacred. It's an honor to be on the air with an accomplished New Mexico leader like Coach Tripp, Richard Tripp, all those things. And now I start getting that feeling. Look out. I'm not making my first interview today. And
Well, I hope
I'm
you
on
do.
my way back.
Oh, I hope you do, Henry T. I've told you this before. New Mexico kids, you were always kids first. That's one thing about Henry T. It's always been kids first. The people you've met over the years, I've seen your show. I've seen the dudes you have on. You know, the former Lobo greats, the former guys from Albuquerque High, from the Valley. You know, the thing about you, Henry, that I think people need to know, and this is just me talking. You have never forgotten where you came from. You have never forgotten your roots. You've never forgotten the hard work it took to get to where you are or were. And so for you to make a comeback, bro, I wish you all the best, my friend. I do.
Well, I still have the energy, and I need God's help every day. But this time, I'm going to really lean on him. But I love what I do. Kids, thank you. I love watching the young people of New Mexico play ball. We have many great athletes in our state. I love the teams that we have. We're getting better facilities. And boy, the electronics of this business, of this industry, man, I feel like I'm in Star Wars today, Rich. Man. And you know, I used to carry 2 bags of radio equipment and TV equipment, whatever I was doing. Today, we do it with this.
Yeah, exactly.
A cell phone.
Yeah.
Man, I would have saved the pain in my back if this is all I had to carry to a game, right? And a tablet or something, the rosters.
Right.
You and I have done games with no rosters.
Right.
You get to a field and you say, is the AD here? Can I have a roster? A roster? What is a roster? Today, if I were at your field, if I'm in your gym, you're bringing me 2 attaches filled with roster information and stats because you're one of those special ADs. The people who come to work for you are well taken care of. Thank you, Richard Tripp.
Well, thank you. You know, but that a little bit of that is, you're right, by the way. I mean, because of where we've been there. And there's nothing worse than walking into a gym and you're asking for this, asking for that. And so I make it a point, if a radio station or somebody calls and says, hey man, we're going to be down there to broadcast. Okay, fine. I'll make sure they do have rosters, maybe throw some water their way, put it on the table for them, get it all set. Because like you said, you know, we remember those days and we show up. Even today, when I do games at ProView, I have a ritual where I have a Gatorade and a Snickers bar always with me. But yeah, you know, so we know what it's like to walk into a gym or a football stadium. So when they tell me they're coming to West Las Vegas, we'll do our very best to take care of announcers, broadcasters, because we understand what it's like.
Wow.
God bless them too, man.
See how versatile he is. I go in any direction here. And now I want to go being a father. What's that like for you?
I got a son who's 34 now. I didn't realize that. I thought he was still 21, but he told me, no, Dad, sorry. Yeah, you know, Mikey, we call him, and like everything else, he's been a blessing. You know, he's graduated back in 2005, co-valedictorian of his class here at West Las Vegas. he just chose to say college ain't for me, Dad. But being a father and then now being like a step grandfather, being a father is, to me, has always been nothing but the best. I always wanted to be that. We mess up as parents from time to time. We don't always set the right examples, but I wanted to make sure that I did. I wanted to make sure he learned how to do, and I think, he has how to do the small things and being a human being. I always taught him, you know what? I don't care what you do in life, your choices are your choices, but the only thing I do ask is that you be a productive citizen and you be a respectful citizen. That's it. Period. Go do whatever it is you got to do. Just be productive in what you do. Just go out in the way you were raised, to be humble, to be respectful, always shake somebody's hands, always love your grandparents, because we lost my wife now going on 8 years ago. He was already 20 something, but everything we taught him, I said, never forget what your mother always taught you as well. Take that with you. So yeah. And now, being like a grandfather, to a little guy called Little Dude or Jeremiah, even though he's not mine by blood, but to me, he's mine. And anything I can do to help that little boy to make him a better person, I'm going to do, because I feel I have something to offer. And I hope it's the right thing that I do offer. So thanks for asking that question, Henrietta. Yeah, it's something pretty special, man.
Amen. And was that too private?
No.
Let me ask you about, because you talked so highly about your late wife. And if it's not too private, can you share with us that part of your life?
Well, I was married for 34 years. She's originally from Santa Fe. Came to Highlands. I always wanted to date a cheerleader, and I never got the chance. And lo and behold, she ended up being a cheerleader at Highlands University when we met. So hey, I finally got my cheerleader, Yeah, she was a cheerleader at Highlands. Married 34 years. August 11th, 2013, just lost her, and didn't wake up, and it's been, it's been rough. It's been rough. She was a good lady. Used to be the cheer coach over at West Las Vegas for a long time. I converted her from a St. Catherine's Thunderbird at Santa Fe to a West Las Vegas Dawn. My wife was pretty unique. I'll put it that way. I'll just leave it at that. For 34 years, it's been rough. It's been rough, but it was a good run, as we say.
God bless you, Richard. One of the people I admire and that high regard is your brother, Gary. Mm-hmm. My goodness. Everything he literally touches turns to gold, or golden green, if you will, if you go back. But what is it about Gary and you that's just performance at the highest level? And if somebody critiques you, they can't find many flaws. You say nobody's perfect, man, but you guys lead the league in performance at its highest level. I love Gary, your brother.
Gary is, I always tell people, he's my little big brother. He's always been more of a go-getter than I have. He, of course, was everything at West Las Vegas, went on to be an All-American at Highlands. And of course, from there, from AD to Moriarty, Rio Rancho to the NMAA. Now he's running for school board in Rio Rancho. I mean, the guy just doesn't know how to stop. I'll tell you what, there's been times it's tough living in his shadow, but it's okay. If that's the kind of shadow I have to live in, man, that's a pretty good shadow. And I think the thing with Gary is I think he's, like everything else, when he was even the director of the NMAA, I'm sure there were some ADs and superintendents that didn't agree with what he did. But at the end of the day, Gary's concept was always kids. It never changed. Gary always took, again, his upbringing, when we were growing up, from my mom, even himself, his own lessons, and just transitioned him into his career. And I think even when he was the executive director, is that, we have a million rules, as we know, and rules must be followed. But Gary never forgot the human side of it. He never forgot, what can we do to help a kid? What can we do to save a kid? What can we do? And I still think he follows that same philosophy now. His two daughters, his grandkids now. And I think that's the thing that makes Gary, to me, pretty special is, it's always been kids. What can I do to help kids? No matter if it was an assistant coach to being the director of the NMAA, that's always been his thing. So that'd be to me, that's, now a lot of people didn't know this about Gary, so I'm not going to say too much, but he was a feisty guy in high school. And you ask anybody that played with him or against him, and they'll probably tell you he's one of the toughest guys I ever played against or played with. Nobody was tougher than Gary. But you get him off the court, and it's just plain Gary, man. It's set. What you see off the court, that's totally opposite of what you saw on the court. But yeah, that's always been a thing about him, Henry.
Well, I just got a note on my computer here that it's low on battery.
Oh my gosh.
What happened you wore my battery out, Rich. So if it goes away, we'll find a way to resume this and patch them together.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to be as versatile as you. I'm relentless. I won't quit the game, but my computer may quit the game before us. So it's just real TV, Richard. So
yeah,
we'll hang in there as long as we can. But
right.
at this present time in your life, being the AD I love your school. There's so much affirmative action, if you will, in another way. People are pumped up at West Las Vegas High School. I will love walking on your campus. What's it like being the AD today at West Las Vegas?
It's about the kids, baby. It's about the kids, and I let that be known. Kids come first. It's an awesome feeling because every time I walk on that campus or in the gym or on I remember those that came before us. It's just a feeling of watching kids roam the campus. It's a feel of just looking at them, looking at their faces, and just saying, every kid has a story, and every kid has a story to tell. And just seeing the kids, man,